There are people who do all the right things, the inner work, the journaling, the healing sessions, and still feel like something unseen keeps pulling them backward. Most never discover why, but by the end of this conversation, you will know. Hi, and welcome to the You World Order Showcase podcast, where we feature life, health, transformational coaches, and spiritual entrepreneurs stepping up to be the change they seek in the world. I'm your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist, on a mission to empower coaches and entrepreneurs to amplify their voice, monetize their mission, and get visible. If you're ready to start attracting premium clients without chasing algorithms or hunting people down like a banshee on a mission, head on over to coachesalchemist.com and schedule your free client acquisition audit. It's the first step to building a business where your clients seek you out rather than you having to hunt them down. Today, we are chatting with Ellie Vixie. Ellie is a healer turned soul protector and exorcist. She partners with the angelic realm to clear heavy, stagnant, and intrusive energies that traditional healing methods never touch. Ellie specializes in identifying and removing dark force interference and the hidden energetic block that keeps people feeling stuck no matter how much inner work they've done. Known as your spark finder, Ellie helps people reclaim clarity, peace, and deep alignment with their soul's truth. Her work is for those who've tried everything and still feel like nothing sticks, offering a pathway to lasting transformation and a return of their inner light. Welcome to the show, Ellie. It's great to have you with us.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here.
So, let me ask you the big question. What's the most significant thing, in your opinion, as individuals we can do to make an impact on how the world is going?
Ooh, that is such a loaded question, but I love it so much because there could be a million answers to that question. But I think for most of us, it starts with us. It's the old adage, like when we heal ourselves, we heal the world. And I used to think that the world was the entirety of all of humanity. And for me now, my world is who I come in contact with on a daily basis. So that makes my responsibility feel like, okay, I'm going to work on me. That's going to impact my kids. That's going to impact my husband. That's going to impact my friendships. And that is my world. And
Mhm.
so that overwhelm of I have to help everyone in the world, it's everyone in my world. And as we heal and others heal, the ripple effect does eventually go global.
It does go global. And
It does.
with the internet, your reach is a lot further than you think it could be.
Absolutely.
And you just share it with one person who's maybe over in the UK or in Australia or
Yeah.
in New Zealand,
Yep.
and they change something. And so now
Hmm.
that country's doing something different. It's
Yes.
just like it's such an amazing way that all works. And I
Mhm.
love that we're getting to a place where as as a group, we're starting to be a group who are making
Mhm.
these kinds of changes. So many spiritually aware people do the work, but they stay stuck in the same patterns. How do you help people help someone know the difference between like a mindset block and then the energetic interference? Because I think sometimes we just get stuck in the, "Oh, it's got to be me."
Yep. Yeah. And that was absolutely where I was. I was so stuck. I feel like I had all these tools, I had all of these skills, I had all these healing modalities, and I was like beating my head against a wall. I couldn't get certain things to change. And I was, what's wrong with me? And there's something wrong with me. And it doesn't work for me. Um, and what the clear differentiator for me is I actually started noticing that certain things that I was thinking didn't even sound like me anymore. It was, you're not really that smart. You don't really know enough. You don't really you don't really have the skills to do this. But there was a part of me that was absolutely like, what are you talking? Like, yes, of course, I know how to do this. I have all these skills. I have all this education. I know what I'm doing. So it started feeling like this internal battle of what I knew was true, but then this voice, this outside voice that was inside, and I was like, nah, that's really can't be me. And that's when I came across, my mentor who became my teacher, who talked to me about exorcism, and everything kind of clicked into place that that little voice really wasn't mine. And I think we can come to that conclusion when we are using our tools and they just can't seem to work. And we kind of spiral into that thinking of like, oh, it's just me. It's got to just be me. And that's kind of the power of those energies that contribute on the spiral. They're like, yeah, it is just you. It is you. It works for everyone else, but not you. Right. And we start to listen. Um, yeah, I hope that answers the question.
It does answer the question. And I
Okay.
was thinking about, I have a friend, her name's Kate Montana,
Uh-huh.
and I don't know if you're familiar with her or not, but her premise is that these entities are like parasites, that they
Hmm.
infect us. And they're
Yeah.
actually like parasites. A lot of us have parasites, whether we
Yeah.
want to acknowledge it or not. And these
Uh-huh.
kind of like mind parasites actually do
Yeah.
attack us, and we can fight them off. And
Hmm.
is that kind of what you do? Kind of is that what you do? You help people
Yeah.
draw them out.
Yeah.
You're like a detoxer.
Yeah. I mean, well, an exorcism, really, the definition of exorcism is to just remove something,
Yeah,
to, excise
excise
something. So we
it.
are taking something out. And in addition to that, right? So we talk about demons, we talk about the things like the little devil on our shoulder, right? Like, oh, I've got to deal with my demons. We use this kind of vocabulary and
Hmm.
language in our regular life. And I think a lot of it of us use it kind of flippantly, of like, oh, it's kind of a joke, or we like see it in
Well, we
movies.
don't want people to think that we think that, even though we
Right.
all know that this is
Yes.
really going on. But
It
you
is
don't want
really
the
going
other
on.
person over there to say, "Oh, she believes they're demons and
Yeah.
that they're
Yeah.
real."
Yeah, absolutely. And so when we talk about it like a parasite, or like this attachment or an entity, or some people would call it like a possession, right?
Hmm.
Um, so what that does is it triggers all of our own emotional traumas, our own blocks, our own things that we've lived with or come up with. It just continues to validate the negative, right? It's like, oh, yeah, you've always been like this. You'll never get better. Um, you don't deserve to have the things you want. And it's those negative voices that become really powerful, but they're just latching on to some of the stuff that we can maybe already believe about ourselves. It just makes it so much stronger. And in energy work, like we can move and shift and change and release emotions and release beliefs and release these things. But if that interference is there, that releasing can't be done fully and completely, because it's like, nope, we're not going to let you heal. We're not going to let you get there because of this. I actually really like the word parasitic, like because of this kind of parasite that's on you. You have to do a really significant flush to get it completely out.
Yeah, it's like they're a filter. No matter all the work you're doing, it's getting filtered through this negativity that
Mhm.
it just like doesn't actually get into your system and is able to nourish you in a way that helps you to heal because
Yeah.
until you remove it. So is it
Yeah.
painful, this exorcism?
No, I think that is one of those things. We see it in film. We see this like really scary demonic type possession, and the releasing of it is so painful on the human body. And in terms of like physical pain like that, it's not much different than typical energy work. If someone's getting energy work and they get tired after a session, they might get tired after this kind of a session. Lots of times, though, when we have these interferences, we can be kind of bombarded with hard times sleeping. Maybe we get bad dreams. Maybe we get like rumination at night and we can't sleep. We can't turn our brains off. So actually, what starts happening is those things start to shift and we start to sleep better. We start to actually relax more. So our body starts to step into like a reparation. And depending again on the client, that can look a couple of different ways. They might be extra tired, they might get a little extra emotional. But as far as like that physical, like, oh, we're ripping something out of your body and, there's stuff going everywhere, like, no, that does not happen. But
Things are
that's, I
flying
mean,
around the room
yes.
and it'll
Yes, I
whack you
think that's a
upside the
really good
head.
question, though, because I feel like that's what people probably are like, oh, I don't want to do that because it's scary. but it is actually just a really beautiful, very gentle process uh, to that allows people to get some really deep healing.
I love that. And
Yeah.
in terms of, they're using the parasite example or analogy, is it possible to like only partially clear stuff and not and have it get worse before it gets better? How do you keep people from having that experience?
Yeah. So I want to give you a little bit of background of kind of where it comes from, right?
Mhm.
We have a couple different ways where this energy can come to us. One of those being the world that we live in, right? There's entertainment, there's music, there's television, there's things that can make us susceptible to some of this dark energy.
Mhm.
The other way is really our own stuff that we send out. If we hate someone and we curse people under our breath, or we're sending out an energy into the world and it has to go somewhere and do something. So that can feed on things. And it's mostly unintentional, right? It's
Mhm.
just an unintentional thing, but it does go somewhere. And the other thing is where I really work on is the stuff that we bring with us when we come to this lifetime. So we're
Mhm.
looking at all of our past life interactions with this type of energy, and we work on what's called being a target. And so it's like, okay, well, if you're a target, there's all this permission. They're allowed to mess with you. They're allowed to interfere. They're allowed to mess with your money and your relationships and your health. And there's this allowance. And so I like to call that like the leak in the boat, right? We've got a hole. We're a target. There's a hole in the ship. It's filling up with water. We can scoop it out with mindset work. We can scoop out water with affirmations and energy healing. But if that leak is still there, that interference is going to keep coming in and we're going to keep sinking. So getting people off the target actually blocks them from any further impact from dark energy. Now, we still have to clean out all the water, right? We still have to get rid of all the energy that's already there, but
Mhm.
it does prevent them from being continually targeted. And so that plugs up that leak in the boat. And now all of a sudden, our affirmations, our mindset work, the extra healing, the extra inner work we're doing finally brings us some relief because we're no longer just inundated with this leak. Um, so we get to the point where the soul, your soul and your aura and your karma are all completely balanced, 100% yours, 100% sovereign, and that makes you impenetrable. There is the
Hold your
caveat.
shield.
You have your full shield, yes. But the caveat is you still have free will and you still have freedom of choice. So if you then in this lifetime now go and choose to participate or engage or hire or step into a situation that you are asking for connection with dark forces again, well, then that's your own choice. And so that is allowed. Um, but if you do not make that choice, you are not impacted again because you are protected from that point on.
So, when we're talking about bringing stuff with us, are we talking about karma? Is that
Yeah. Yeah.
okay?
So
So
it can
we,
be it can be part of our karmic cycle, yes, from our past lives.
Mhm.
And and so what can happen is because we're inundated with these dark forces, whether it be with contracts or maybe we used it or maybe we sold a piece of our soul in a lifetime. And we use that language here too. Like we know what it feels like to have our soul chipped away at a job we don't like or in a relationship that's toxic or saying yes when we want to say no. Like we understand what that feels like to
Mhm.
feel like we gave up something. And we've done that in multiple lifetimes. And so it's coming into this place now, and all of a sudden we're on this karmic wheel that's very imbalanced, and we're kind of trudging through quicksand, trying to learn our life lessons and trying to fulfill our purpose. And we're just getting dragged down by this energy, by this interference. And as a soul protector, that's now like what my job is to get you out of that quicksand so that you can step into that full sovereignty, your full life purpose, your karma's balanced. So you're not in this hamster wheel of continual lesson, 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 lesson. Like, I mean, when the shit just constantly hits the fan, pardon my language, but that's kind of how
No,
it is.
there are
Yeah.
definitely people around that it's like, man, it's like if you didn't have bad luck, you'd have no luck at all.
Right. Right.
It's like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
but
And we are, here to shift that balance, right? To shift that balance of people that are suffering and struggling and kind of drowning in this lifetime, but shifting it so that people are fulfilling their purpose and living in their light and their life, and it shifts us into a more positive world, right? Because we're out of the constant hamster wheel of, oh, when's the next bad thing going to happen? So it does
it,
it does create some really amazing magic throughout.
it feels like when once you get into those cycles, you're
Mhm.
just like stuck in them. And
Mhm.
I'm sure that there are listeners out there that are like, oh God, that feels like me. I'm doing all the
Yeah.
things, but I just feel like I'm stuck. And no matter
Mhm.
what I do, it's just like I might start to see the light, but then phew,
Mhm.
sucked back
Yep.
in. And
Yeah.
people in that situation, they would reach out to you and you would help
Yeah.
them.
Absolutely. I think one of the most powerful things in what I do is actually just the validation that there is
Mhm.
interference there. I remember for myself when I learned that there was this interference, it was like this wave of relief that I was like, oh, it's not just me. I'm not just incapable. It's not my being incapable. It's not my own garbage that like, well, it'll never shift. Maybe I'm never meant to do this in this lifetime.
Mhm.
It finally addressed that part of me that was thinking that it there was something wrong. And in that case, just the validation alone was a huge burden lifted off my shoulders to be like, oh, okay, this is something that we can work with. There is something there that can be removed.
Yeah.
Um, and that shift has been really powerful. That shift has quieted that voice, right? That voice that would tell me like, "Oh, you're not good enough. You don't know enough. You can't do this. This isn't meant for you." That voice is gone. It told me lots of other things, but we don't have to get into all of that. But that voice is gone. My ability to have success in my endeavors is so much easier. Things happen much more smoothly. Doors open, right? All of those things. And I did want to touch really quickly on like when we feel like we are doing all the things and then something happens and then all of a sudden it all goes to the wayside. There's a very particular thing that we work with. It's actually called immobilization. And immobilization is when you as a person are coming into a space that is meant for your healing or meant to step you past or like get you into growth or step you into your purpose or you're going to finally have some impact. It's almost like you step on a trap or a trigger that triggers all of this stuff that's like, nope, we're going to do everything we can to stop you from doing that thing. An example of this for me was I actually met my mentor that became my mentor that did my exorcisms for me in person. And when I met her in person, sure enough, it triggered that reaction. And I kind of went into like a weird depressive state. I couldn't work on my business. It was really hard for me to connect with people. I wanted to isolate. I wanted to be alone. I didn't want to reach out for help. And thankfully, I was part of a group of mastermind that they were very supportive and helped me kind of work through that. But if I didn't have community, I don't know. I think I maybe would have kind of isolated myself, holed up, gone real quiet, gone real silent, and tried to just like I would have succumbed, to all of that.
Yeah.
And
And that's a
and
real,
yeah,
real serious danger for a lot of people. They just get trapped
hmm
in this
yeah,
space where it's just like they lose hope. And
yeah,
that's
hmm
where, people decide that it's not worth staying,
yeah, yeah. And
which
it
is,
yes, and that's obviously the very extreme of how this energy can impact us.
mhm,
That's the very extreme end of it, of saying like you're not worth it. You don't need
mhm,
to be here. There's nothing for you here. You have no purpose.
yeah, yeah,
And that's where like I feel like just the validation of saying there is an external voice in your head telling you that that's true when it's not, and we can get rid of that external voice. I think that that's really powerful.
Do you actually see these entities? Do you, how do you, I'm, how do you tell if it's like
Sure.
just the voice in your head or if it's
Yeah.
an actual energy that needs to be
Mhm.
removed?
Very great question. I have been protected from visuals unless I am in a session. So I can see visuals like in a session when I'm working with a client. But when I'm doing an assessment to see if they're there, I'm actually asking the angels. I'm talking to the divine. I'm talking to my angels, the client's angels, the archangels,
Mhm.
and they are letting me know what is there for the client. Um, and then, yes, I actually do get to see some of like the battles being done, which is really spectacular and really amazing to see, the angels go out and fight for us and fight for our souls, which is really beautiful. It is pretty amazing. But on the day to day, like if I'm walking through the grocery store, I don't see like all of these things on people. Most of the time, if someone is talking to me and they say certain things, it's an instant like, oh, I know that that's there for them because there are things that you say um, that kind of alert or indicate that there's that energy, that presence there.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
So
May
when
I
you
may I
begin,
share some of those with you? Can I share
yes,
some of those
please.
things?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting because sometimes too, I will say sometimes it shows up really suddenly, right? Where all of a sudden we feel like we're not really ourselves. We're like, um, I used to feel a lot of joy about this thing, but I can't bring myself to feel joy for it anymore. Like I don't feel inspired. I don't feel motivated. A lot of it is, like I said, isolation. I just want to be alone. Being around people just drains me. I just need to be alone. I want to be an island. I don't like peopling, right? And that's very common right now too. Feeling like we're carrying the weight of the world, feeling like everything is on our shoulders, that there's no one out there, losing control of our emotions, like feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm spiraling out of control, and I can't understand where that's coming from. And then there's more of the like, I feel like I'm being watched, or I feel like I'm being followed, or I'm hearing these voices that aren't my own. I have had clients that have experienced like seeing a demon, right? They see it in front of them, they see it in the people around them. That's again a little bit more on the extreme side. For most of us, we just kind of trigger it, or we just kind of say that it's normal. Oh, well, yeah, I'm getting older, so now I'm more tired. Now I don't sleep as well. And we kind of like chalk it up to this like normalcy, um, when it's really not, especially if it's new or different than what it has been in the past for you. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I keep wiggling around because I'm sitting on the edge of a
Okay.
chair.
You're
I'm getting
perfectly fine.
cramps in my back.
Yeah, you're
That
good.
that is so fascinating to me that
Mhm.
the people can see these things sometimes
Yeah,
and that they really do exist and that
yeah.
it's just like so many things exist in this world that many people are
Mhm.
just like, nah, that we talk about them
Yeah,
like we think we believe them, but really when we're alone, that it's easy to say, no, that can't really be, therefore that can't really work. So
sure.
when you do work with people, do you work in groups? Do you work one-on-one? How does all of this play out
Mhm.
in the way that you help
Yeah.
people?
Well, so there's kind of two things. So I do the sacred healing with the angels. And I also do energy work as well. So the sacred healing with the angels is very much a personalized one-on-one. It's actually very remote as well. So the work is done very quietly. So having a person online with me would be very dull and very boring.
Mhm.
So a session is done completely remotely for that. Whereas with my energy work, like if we're like, okay, we're clear of all of that interference and we're ready to start, scooping the water per se, right? Going back to
Mhm.
my other analogy, and we're going to start clearing energetically. I can do that work in groups. And so it can become like a group type thing. But most of the time I do one-on-one sessions with my clients and really help them to get into that new state of vibration, because we are completely changing your vibrational frequency state as a
Mm.
human when we shift all this energy. And so it is working with them to help them step into that new person that they become.
And does this happen quickly or over a series of like 5, 10? I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
just throwing numbers out there.
Sure. I mean, it's a great question. Now I can tell you when I started and it was me, it
Mhm.
was 6 months of clearing for mine to
Mhm.
get clear. And as a student and learning, and as we pulled all of this together, um, we requested on behest of our clients that please can we make this a faster process? Please can we accelerate this process? 6 months, a year, it's too long to continue to suffer. And so now most people are anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks for the full clearing to get full soul sovereignty, to get the karma balanced. And then beyond that, if there is additional energy work, then I have programs for how long they can continue to work with me. But that initial clearing, right, to like get that hole plugged up in the ship, to get that target off your back, that's anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks, kind of depending on the client.
And so you'd meet maybe once or twice a week, and then they would get homework?
Yep. So
I'm
initially,
super
like
curious.
we connect to let them know, like, hey, this was what the session entailed. This is what came up. This might be what you're starting to feel. We connect and talk about it. If we are doing energy work together as well, then we could do a session and keep working on the energetics that are there. And yeah, and then it just becomes like once that energy is cleared, then we're now working on the energetics of the body once the interference is gone.
It sounds kind of like chiropractic work. You know how you go because
Yep,
something's bothering you, so you go in there and they adjust you,
yep,
but you have to keep going back for like 4, 6, or 8 weeks in order
yeah,
for the muscles to remember where they're supposed
hmm
to be because they keep pulling it back out. Eh,
yeah, yeah. Well, and ideally, so kind of how it works is like at the very, very beginning, the very first thing I do is get the target off your back.
mhm.
Because that's super important. If I did the target at the very end, well, that whole time they can still mess with you. You're a target. You're open for business, right? And so the
Right.
very, very first thing I do is I get that target off your back. So then what we're doing the next few weeks is we're unraveling everything else that happened while you were a target. And so you're not getting new impact. We're just shifting and moving and getting rid of everything that was there. And remember, like we're working over lifetimes of things. And so for some clients, it can be a little bit more intricate. It might take more time. Um, and so like I said, the angels kind of tell me how long it's going to take. We need to either do it faster or we need to do it slower, also depending on the client and how they process, right? What does their energetic processing look like? And just making sure that everyone is aligned, feeling good, that we're following guidance from the divine, and doing what we need to do in the timeline.
Do you find that this happens in groups, like families? Would a whole family have this energy, or would it just be one person in a family? Can it spread?
Um, yes, great, great question. So in terms of spreading like a virus, it's more what we bring in with us through our lifetimes and our own karma.
Mhm.
But then we do tend to partner with people that match us vibrationally.
Mhm.
So yes, it like in my house, it was myself, it was my partner, but then also my children as well, because they had brought their own stuff with them into their
Right.
lifetime. But also, I did have to end up like closing some portals in my house. I had portals in my house. I had portals at a workspace. And those portals can make it so that you just feel uncomfortable, right? It's like the room you never want to go into or the closet you never touch. In my case, it was the kitchen. I never wanted to go in the kitchen. I didn't enjoy being in the kitchen. Um, and and so same, like once those portals are closed, we're not allowing any more of that dark energy in. So the other thing is animals. Our animals can carry this energy as well, because they are also souls and they also have potential previous lifetimes. They may not have always been an animal. So we can also clear this energy from animals and from our pets and from our spaces, and we can get it to where like your home is completely sealed and protected from any kind of dark energy coming into it. But then let's also, I mean, we can throw in too, if you live on land, like let's say you have acreage, and who knows what happened on that land, if there were deaths or killings or wars or ceremonies, right? That can open portals or opportunities for this energy to stay and stay stuck and stagnant. So if you do have like a plot of land or you live in a really old house and you just kind of feel this sense of heaviness or dread or discomfort, if you to the extreme again, things move around or cupboards slam or, we talk about those kinds of things too. That can all be indicative of this kind of energy on the space and in the land.
Interesting.
Yeah. But it is all healable, which is beautiful. Like we can bring the land full restoration, we can bring the home full restoration, and obviously the people and animals that are there as well. Yeah.
So, at the beginning of our conversation, we hinted at the real reason some people do everything right, but nothing truly shifts. For those listening who feel like that might be them, what is the deeper cause they're likely never been really told, and how can they finally break free from it?
Yeah. Um, I have a semi-long, but I'm going to make it short answer to that. Most of us don't know that it exists, right? Most of us have no clue that this energy is there. I was raised very religious. We did not talk about ghosts. We did not talk about entities. It was like something that we did not even acknowledge. So me coming into this at this stage of my life was very eye-opening. Was like, oh, this is legit. This is real. This is something that is going on in a realm in this space that we don't see with our physical eyes, but we feel it in our physical bodies. And so I think it's really like if you are thinking like, oh my gosh, there is something holding me back, and I've done all the work to get all the blocks out, to just be open to checking it out, to see if there is validation for you there, in just knowing like, hey, yeah, this is here and it is impacting you. And what will it look like to shift that for them? Yeah.
And they can get access to you for that with a Spark
Yes.
Finder call.
Yes, absolutely. So my website is ellievixie.com. Very easy. It's my name. And you can click I have a complimentary call there, and it is an energy reading. It is the purpose of the call is to determine if you have these energies and these interferences on you, and then to see where we can go from there. Like what would that look like to continue to move forward? But that is all available there on my website.
Awesome.
Yes.
So I really appreciate you joining us today, Ellie. This has been a fascinating conversation.
Well, thank you so much, Jill. I'm so glad to be here. I love it.
To learn more about Ellie and schedule your Spark Finder call, please visit ellievixie.com. And we'll be sure to put that link in the show notes below. Thanks for tuning in today to the You World Order Showcase podcast. If you're ready to amplify your voice, monetize your mission, and start attracting premium clients, your next step is simple. Head to thecoachesalchemist.com and schedule your free client acquisition audit. Be sure to join us for our next episode as we share what others are doing to raise the global frequency. And remember, change begins with you. You have all the power to change the world. Start today and get visible.